Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Don J MMA podcast. It's been a while. But I'm
It
here with the
has.
Don. Don, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I mean, it's been a long time since the last episode, but a big week in combat sports with Ngannou, Joshua, and UFC 299. So there are quite a lot of things to talk about. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
first
mean, we've
thing,
got the UFC 299 main card. I mean, first of all, want to start off by saying, yeah, one of the greatest cards of all time.
yeah, it was class.
100% one of the greatest cards I've ever seen. I mean, from the main card was stacked. I think finish wise, eh, but still, I think it was a great card. We had some underdogs winning. I tragically predicted Cheeto to win the main event. No idea why. I think I was just
Yeah, I seen that.
hoping to pull something off. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the underdogs in the card as well didn't make much sense to me, like Dustin Poirier. How is that guy the underdog going into that? I have no idea. Like, did you pick Ben Washington to beat him?
I did. I did. I
Right.
thought that with Dustin talking about retirement so much, it actually was going exactly how I predicted it to go in the first round. I thought Saint Denis was going to crowd him against the fence and kind of bully him a little bit. Um, I knew Dustin. I knew the danger of Dustin. Benoit Saint Denis not moving his head in exchanges could cost him, but I thought his chin would hold up a lot better than it did. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people are kind of treating Benoit Saint Denis like he got fraud checked. I don't think Benoit Saint Denis walks away from that fight with no future. I think he'll be back.
Yeah, no, I think he's still extremely talented, and I do think he will challenge for the title at some stage in his career. He's
Yeah,
28 years of age, so it's not as if he's like 30 plus. And let's not forget, in this matchup, the guy had staph infection. So,
on
like,
his
not to
head.
make excuses for him, like, but I mean, the guy, like he said, wasn't 100% fit. And like he said, he only had one round to give. And in that first round, he did give an awful lot. And at times looked like he could have got Poirier out of there, especially when he was on
Yeah,
Poirier's back. But
and
like I said in
people.
the build up, yeah, in the
Sorry,
build up, I
man.
just thought it was a jump too soon for him. I thought Poirier would have TKO'd him, but definitely in the later stages, I didn't think it would have been early on. And I kind of went how I thought it would have went with Ben Washington. He's kind of just completely disregarding any striking defense and choosing to stand in the pocket with Poirier and getting caught. But yeah, I mean, let's not forget the guy had staph infection, so that's probably why he didn't look amazing in there.
Yeah, and like I think he performed pretty well in the first round. I mean, Dustin Poirier still making some of the same mistakes, like pulling jumping guillotines.
Yeah, why the
That
fuck does he do that?
I don't know. He has a good guillotine. He has a good one if he can lock it in. But I feel like he almost got Habib with it that one time, and ever since then, he's just addicted to doing it.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty sure he's never
and
got a
it didn't
finish
even
though
get
off it.
Habib. It didn't even get Habib.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he's so dead set on doing it. And the corner, I love how they were like, "Do not do it again," and then he did it straight away.
Yeah, and then they ask him afterwards, yeah, I'm just gonna continue to do it. But yeah, it
It's
was a
one of the most cursed submissions I think in MMA. So many
yeah,
fighters bottle fighters by doing it.
especially in the elite level. Like maybe when you're first into the UFC and stuff like that, the lower ranked guys, but not like top
Yeah,
20 guys. But yeah, then you had Gilbert Burns was the underdog in his matchup as well. I did predict Gilbert Burns to win that matchup. He was on his way to win that matchup. But then, as we all know, got caught with that knee from JDM. JDM kind of shows that he has great get ups, in my opinion, but his wrestling defense really
yeah,
needs a lot of work, especially if he is calling out Shavkat Rakhmonov, which I read a lot. Like nobody's calling out that guy.
yeah.
JDM calls him out. And let's not forget, JDM broke his arm in that matchup, which is kind of just came out and he still was able to finish Gilbert
Oh
Burns, which
shit!
was
I know.
insane.
I can't believe it. He broke his arm. And you know what's funny? Gilbert Burns was making, those excuses about having one arm against Bilal and then
Yeah, I was
loses to
literally
a
about
guy
to
with
fucking
one
talk
arm.
about that. Yeah,
The
exactly.
loses to a guy with one arm. That's a bit of karma. I feel like karma's just If you don't believe in karma, you've got to now. And one thing Jack Della Maddalena didn't call out was the other most dangerous man in the division, Bilal. Remember the name, Mohammed. He didn't call him
Yeah.
out. He called out
People are
Shavkat.
scared of that guy. They're scared of him. I did see a thing on MMA Uncensored saying that Dana, I don't know when this was, says within the next week they might announce him and Leon Edwards. You have to just make that fight. Like, just do it. Hurry up. Like, get it
I'd
out of
love
the
a
way.
UFC. I'd love a UFC Manchester. Tom Aspinall versus Blades, Edwards versus Bilal. And I really don't think, Tom Aspinall should have to fight Blades. But I think he and everyone has just accepted whatever. They're going to go with Stipe versus Jones.
Yeah.
Jones will then retire and avoid that matchup with Tom Aspinall. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. Which is
It's,
unfortunate and shouldn't be allowed, really. Like,
no,
I don't
no.
get why they're allowing that. Like, yes, they want John to go out technically undefeated, the GOAT of their sport, but like surely you want to build up your other talent. And like even if
Yeah.
Arsenal doesn't beat him, like
I'd
I
want Tom
don't get
Aspinall
it.
to beat John Jones.
So would
I
I,
would.
and I think
If
he
I was a
would.
promoter, I'd want Tom Aspinall to beat him because even if Jones loses, there's still the whole John's not in his prime, which is not, which is one of the biggest reasons why I think a lot of people are picking Tom. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's couple of things Tom does better than John Jones, but also I just don't think Stipe at this stage of his career, by the time they fight, it'll be coming up to 4 years since Stipe last fought. I don't even know if Yuri Prohaska was in the UFC when Stipe last won. Not when he last fought, he last won against Daniel Cormier that third time. So
Yeah.
Alex Pereira wasn't in the UFC. There's so many just crazy stats. The Venom shorts have never been worn by Stipe. You know, it's just insane that he's getting a title shot. But
Like
like we say, it is what it is.
I get it. I get it. It's a legacy fight. That's what they keep going on about. This is a legacy fight. Well, then take the belt off. It doesn't need the belt on the line. Then, if you want to do it without the belt, crack on. But like,
Yeah,
don't hold up the division for two old guys that are going to fight a fight that nobody even really wants to see anyway, and then retire.
yeah,
It's just holding up
100%.
the division. What else was I going to say quickly? Touching on the Dustin Poirier topic. Poirier Islam, June. What's your opinion?
Why not? I mean, obviously, this will probably annoy Charles Oliveira, Armin Sarukian, and it's probably going to annoy Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. An underrated shout. I won't really go too much into it, but I don't think Max Holloway is going to fight at featherweight again. He's looking too big. He already struggled with the featherweight weight cut. I think he's fully committed to lightweight. And if he loses, he'll probably get a few big money fights. And it's the same with Justin Gaethje. So it's win. It's literally all the stakes are in on that fight to get a title shot, the one last chance in their careers. And then Charles Oliveira versus Salman Sarukian. Look, I don't know if Islam Makhachev is fighting 3 times this year, and
I don't think
he
so.
might not fight twice. So what's probably going to happen is if he fights Dustin Poirier in June, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't fight till next year. That really wouldn't surprise me, and it'd probably hold up the division. So unless Islam agrees to fight in June and then fight again later on this year, and maybe again, because there's going to be two clear-cut number one contenders coming out of UFC 300 for the lightweight strap. And if Justin Gaethje dominates Max Holloway, there's going to be a huge shout for Justin Gaethje to get the title shot. If Max Holloway beats Justin Gaethje, he's going to be in a huge shout. And Armin Sarukian and Charles Oliveira. So it's a bit of a mad situation in the lightweight division at the moment. But Dustin versus Islam, look, I'm happy to give Dustin just one more shot, just one more shot at that belt, and
Yeah, and
I hope he does it, man.
well, I hope he doesn't beat Islam, and I don't think he will. But I've seen people complaining about Dustin Poirier if he gets the next title shot, but then complain that Islam isn't active. So let's just Charles Oliveira, Arman Sarukian, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, all at UFC 300, right? Arman Sarukian, Charles Oliveira. Oliveira, we've seen again another photo come up that he's got another cut above his eyebrow. So he's more than likely going to get cut in this matchup against Arman. He's more than likely
Yeah,
going to get dropped against Arman. I do think Charles will beat Arman, right? So he's going to be out probably after that with a cut and being knocked down, etc. You've got Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. If that goes how everybody thinks it's going to go, those fellas are going to beat each other pillar to post. None of those four fighters are going to make this turnaround in June. So why not give it to Poirier, who is the next option? So if you're not going to give it to Poirier then, and those other four can't fight, who are you going to give it to then? Gamrot? No.
Yeah.
Give it to Dustin Poirier. It's all or nothing for him. It's his last chance at winning the belt. He can make the quick turnaround in June. Then you have Islam headline Saudi in June, and then you have Islam headline Abu Dhabi in October. Islam's fought twice. Problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, do you think Dustin Poirier has any shot at pulling it off against Islam?
I mean, I don't want to say no, he has no chance, but I don't see him beating him at all. I think Islam would beat him, and I'm not even joking, probably in the first round. I feel like Islam would just go in there, take him down, and choke him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dustin Poirier's defensive jiu-jitsu has certainly improved a lot since the Khabib fight. He doesn't give his back as easily. When he's fresh, it's really, really difficult to get dominant positions on. But his takedown defense has never been good. It never will be. It's never been good after the Khabib fight against Dan Hooker. You know, and even though Dustin again has decent jiu-jitsu and he has that slight guillotine threat, but even that'll work against him if he pulls a guillotine on Islam. I mean, especially if it's in the first round, that fight's over. You know,
Yeah,
Islam will get straight out of it and dominate from there. So I think I agree with you. Maybe not in the first round, but maybe second or third, Islam would submit Dustin Poirier. Different to Khabib. Obviously, it's a much different fight. Islam's a better striker, but he's also not as pressuring as Khabib. So maybe Dustin would settle into the fight a bit more. I
yeah.
guess there's a shout for that. And if Dustin can start getting Islam to exchange with him, maybe something can happen. But as we both know, Islam's just the best in the world.
Yeah, and I feel like Islam Makhachev is more aggressive when it comes to looking for submissions. Like Benoit Saint Denis was on Dustin Poirier's back for a decent period of that fight. Now, obviously, the fight didn't last that long, but I feel like if
Yeah.
Islam Makhachev is going to be on his back, it's only a matter of time before it's done.
And Islam Makhachev's just better than Benoit Saint Denis in general.
Yeah,
He's a better striker. He's a better grappler. He's a better wrestler. Styles, mate, fights. I'm sure Benoit Saint Denis pressed the action more than Islam would. I think it'd be a bit more slow paced with Islam. You know, he
yeah,
likes to
I
usually
agree.
take a few minutes to get a feel of his opponents, but ultimately, Dustin makes mistakes like pulling the guillotine when he's pressed up against the fence. And as we both know, I mean, Islam against the fence, there's just in MMA, there's not really many like him except
No,
Hamzat.
yeah, I just feel like the whole situation, the way the light heavy or the lightweight division has been laid out now, give Poirier the title shot, one last go. If he
Yeah,
loses, I'm sure he retires. He's the only one that makes sense, really. He's a big
yeah.
name. Saudi Arabia, I think that I don't know if it's a fight night or not, but I mean, I'm sure Saudi Arabia is paying the UFC enough that they could make
Oh, yeah.
that a fight night anyway. It's massive. Islam says he wants to fight on it, so why not let your champion defend his belt if he wants to defend?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the UFC, it's not always a good thing to have title fights on pay-per-view. I feel like fight night is a good opportunity for, let's just say in America, a casual viewer just scrolling through ESPN and they see Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. I will bet anything they'll get hooked by it. You know, that's how you get new fans into the sport, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a bad idea. But anyway, Dustin Poirier will most likely get his shot against Islam. I'm a Dustin Poirier fan. I don't know about you. I hope he does get it done. If he does beat Islam Makhachev, one of the greatest lightweights, maybe even the greatest lightweight, the only reason he's not up there is because he's just never
never
won the
won the
world
belt.
title. So at the moment, he's probably the best fighter to never win the belt, in my opinion, in
Yeah,
MMA history, most likely. Um, but anyway, moving on.
main
Who
event.
was that? What's that guy called? Oh, the main event. All right. Okay. The main event. I mean, what did you think of it? Did it go how you thought it'd go?
I thought it would go all 5 rounds. I didn't think
Yeah.
O'Malley would have finished him.
Yeah,
but I didn't think he would have beat him as bad as he beat him, if you know what I mean. Like, I kind of went like O'Malley banked the early. Now, in my opinion, O'Malley won every single round, but O'Malley really banked the earlier rounds. And then by the time Cheeto really kicked into gear, early stages of the
yeah.
third, into the fourth, etc., it was just too late. And the speed difference between him and O'Malley was fucking. It was crazy.
And like, I mean, I think I scored it 10-9 the first, 10-8 the second, 10-8 the third, 10-9 the fourth, and 10-9 the fifth, all to Sean O'Malley. I think I gave him 2 10-8 rounds because the arse whooping in the second and the third was just of a different level. He really beat Cheeto down and wobbled him.
Yeah,
First man to
that
wobble. Is he
knee.
the first man to stun Cheeto in his career?
I'm not too sure. He must be, but that knee, how's Cheeto still standing after that? Like, that was
Did you
ridiculous.
hear the knee?
Yes.
Did you hear the sound of that knee?
Yeah, like
Holy crap. That was like a it was like a bullet.
yeah, like how he was
I
still
mean,
standing after that's
the fact that he
ridiculous.
moved, the fact that he didn't see it coming is insane. Like, I mean, the fact that I'm surprised, like, Cheeto wobbled, and you can see Sean O'Malley tried to go in for the kill, and then he kind of laid off him and was like, "What is going on? How on
Yeah.
earth did he just take that?" But ultimately, I should have seen this coming. I mean, Cheeto is a very good fighter. It was a bit of a chess match in that I don't think it was the fastest pace fight in the world. It wasn't like Sean was putting just heaps and heaps of volume on Cheeto like Corey Sanhagen was. And it just goes to show how good Sean O'Malley is on the feet. He writes, whatever you think of the first fight, he has now beaten every opponent he's ever been in there with. He's redeemed the loss that he had in his career against Cheeto. And I don't want to see him fight Ilia Topuria next. We'll get onto
No.
that. I think he has a chance to become a very, very good all-time great fighter. If he was to beat Corey Sanhagen and Marab, or Marab and Corey Sanhagen, and then beat Ilya, what a win streak. Aljamain Sterling, Cheeto, Marab, Corey Sanhagen, and Ilya Taporia. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, that's a stacked resume. That is stacked.
That's and the greatest bantamweight of all time, um, I guess, mantle is, oh, I don't want to say the easiest to become out of all the weight classes, but bantamweight is just such a hard division to keep the belt in that I think
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley just defending the belt maybe another 2 times, a third time with dominant performances would put him right up there already.
But I feel like though, yeah, with the bantamweight goat, it's kind of like every other division has like a clear cut goat where like that one
Yeah.
it's well, I mean, it's between three. For me, it's clear who is number one, but a lot of people don't agree with me. But yeah, I feel like if say he beats Marab Sanhagen and he's
Yeah.
beaten Cheeto, so he's beaten Aljo, Cheeto, Marab, Sanhagen. Like, come on, you're probably
Yeah. I
looking at the
mean,
goat there, like
that's an
of
insane,
bantamweight.
insane resume. I mean, and then, then he could become, I think if he does that, if he beats Marab and Corey, that Ilia Topuria fight is very interesting. If Ilia Topuria is still the champion, I mean, for all we know, it could be Brian
Volk.
Ortega or Volk again. Who knows? But I think it will be Ilya. I mean, you know what else is strange? After Max Holloway's left the division and Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez have kind of declined a little bit, that featherweight division isn't looking as good anymore.
No, it's really not. It's in need of
Which,
some like new contenders. Well, I mean, you might get a new contender by UFC 300 and Aljamain Sterling if he can beat Calvin Kattar. And I think that is a big if. I'm an Aljo fan, like probably the only one to face the earth, but Calvin Kattar is going to be a tough matchup for him. Like, it's not going to be an easy win.
yeah, I mean, Aljamain Sterling and Calvin Kattar is I like the fight. I mean, I think the UFC probably didn't have to punish Aljo that much by making him fight that low of a contender. I thought he'd fight like a Yair. I thought he'd fight a Josh Emmett. But anyway, a dominant win over Kattar, which I think he should get, is in that title mix anyway. And like you said, yeah, we need some fresh faces. We've got Movsar Evloev, but actually, the only grappler in that division I think competes with Ilya is Aljo. I think Movsar's really good, but I don't know what it is. I'm not convinced by him.
Bryce Mitchell. That guy's gonna go
Bryce
back.
Mitchell did compete with him. He did. He did, to be fair.
Yeah. Let
I
Bryce
can't believe
Mitchell
Bryce
work in the stand up.
down. Bryce Mitchell took him down, to be fair.
Yeah. But let's just talk about what happened after the fight. O'Malley called out Ilya Taporia. Dana White at the post-fight press conference was a bit unsure about the fight. Um, so yeah, this is how I think the UFC should fix this situation. So there's a lot of moving parts here, by the way. O'Malley, I think, broke his foot, broke
Yeah.
something in that Cheeto Vera fight. So he's going to be out for a while, right? Taporia has just beaten Volkanovski, didn't take much damage in that fight. So let's
No.
not waste him and hold him out there. Let's get him back in UFC 306 in September, the Sphere. Get him in there against Brian Ortega. Mexican Independence Day. Brian Ortega has Mexican heritage. Get them two to main event that card. I know they want him to go to Spain, but just trust me. Get him in there. Let them fight. Let him build his stock again because he's going to absolutely destroy Brian Ortega. I think we can both agree on that.
He
Then
should, yeah.
you have Marab versus O'Malley.
Yeah.
MSG is normally in December. Perfect main event. O'Malley's going to need time to heal up. I think that's a big enough fight to headline that card, stack that card like you done for 299 for O'Malley, make him seem bigger than what he is. They're headlining MSG. Then Volk will more than likely be back December, January. So let's just say January. Then you have Taporia face Volk in January in Spain. Not a massive stadium. You probably could do a stadium. I don't know. But let him fight
Yeah.
Volk in the rematch because Volk deserves the rematch. Um, then if he beats Volk, which I hope he doesn't, but he probably will,
Probably would, yeah.
then you have, and obviously, and I don't know about your opinion when we talk about this. I think O'Malley beats Marab. So just saying this situation, he beats Ortega, he beats Marab, then beats Volkanovski. Then you've got O'Malley with two title defenses. You've got Taporia with two title defenses. They've both beat the clear number one contenders in their divisions, which then would allow time for them two to come together for that mega fight. That's how I think the UFC should book it.
I mean, yeah, I think that's not a bad shout. I mean, Volkanovski, we don't want to see him fight in the Sphere against. Let's just say they do put Ilya in the Sphere. We don't want to see Volk back so soon. It wouldn't
No.
surprise me if Volk does do that. It would not surprise me at all, knowing Volk. I'm not saying knowing Volk. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. I mean, going off what Volk does, I'm getting too big for my boots then. No, I think Ilya Taporia's title reign is going to be something interesting to see. I've already predicted. I don't think he's going to be a very good champion in terms of I don't think he's going to be at lightweight very long. His star power, I think he's going to be the biggest star in the UFC in the next 2 years. He's huge. He's absolutely huge in
He
Spain
is a
at the
big
moment.
star.
He's absolutely huge. His follower count has surpassed Sean O'Malley by like instantly. It went right over Sean O'Malley's. And yeah, I think if the fame doesn't get to his head and the money doesn't get to his head, I think we're going to see Ilya fight Islam Makhachev in the future. Not too long to go for that fight.
Yeah, I mean, everybody nowadays wants to move up a weight class and challenge for double champ. Um,
Yeah,
I do think though we will see Taporia O'Malley before you see Taporia Islam. That's
yeah. I
just
think
my
I
opinion.
agree with you. I agree with you in that. I think so. I think Ilya Taporia's next few opponents are probably going to be Volk, Sean O'Malley, and then Islam. That's why I don't think he's going to be a good champion. I don't think he's going to fight
Mm.
Evloev. I don't think he's going to fight Ortega or Yair. I don't think he's going to fight any of the contenders. I really, really don't. Like Conor McGregor when he held up the division. I guess Conor McGregor's a different thing though because he did it at a different time and he was a
Yeah,
way bigger star than Ilya, which is weird to think because Ilya's a big star, but Conor McGregor was
Connor
next
was just
level.
different. Like I don't
Yeah,
think anybody's
but
gonna come close.
But I think Sean O'Malley's probably going to beat Marab. And then I think they're going to do Ilya versus Volk. I think Volk will have a quick turnaround. Although we don't want him to, I think he's going to come back quite soon. Maybe even later this year. Fight Ilya. I think Ilya will knock Volk out again. Sean O'Malley will beat Marab. And then I think we're going to see Ilya versus Sean O'Malley. And then I think we're going to see Islam Makhachev versus Ilya. That's my official prediction.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. I do think, I mean, we all know who's going to be next for Taporia. It's more than likely going to be Volkanovski. I'm just
Yeah,
saying to capitalize on the guy's star power, get
100%
him in
agree with
there
you.
for 306. Because
Yeah.
realistically, you put him in there with Ortega, he's going to beat him. I mean, no
Imagine if he
disrespect to Brand
didn't.
Ortega. Yeah, imagine
Imagine
if
if
he
he
didn't, to be
didn't.
fair. But like, just looking at it face value, Taporia would beat him badly.
Yeah,
We've
for
got
sure.
10 minutes left, so we'll just talk about the other big things that have happened surrounding UFC 299. Anthony Joshua
Rebellis to
knocking out
Spain.
Ngannou. Oh yeah,
Did you see? Did you see that? I mean, I wanted to touch up on this guy before we get into that. I mean, that is an interesting one. But Rebellis to Spain, you know something? I don't care if he doesn't look with his hands. It looks a bit dicey, but I'm the MMA guru kind of said it a bit, and I did. Yeah, never used to believe him. But are these guys just? Is it just a division where until you get to the top five, that it's just athletes and fat men?
I mean, yeah, you're probably not
I mean,
wrong.
Josh Parisian looked terrible. He looked in terrible shape,
Yeah, yeah,
and
he didn't look great.
Rebelis Spain falls over. It was like them hood fight videos you see on Twitter
Yeah, street
where
beefs, stuff
someone
like that.
falls over and they're moving back and then they just like throw a handbag punch and just knock them
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It was like that. He falls over a kick, but then has the power, which shows how hard he does hit to knock somebody out like that. But I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I do think he's going to get. I don't like saying fraud checked, but when I say fraud checked, I don't mean it in a bad way. I think he's going to lose soundly to like a Ty Bora or something like that coming up in the near
I don't know.
future.
Like, I mean, the guy's old enough, isn't he? He's like 35, I think. So he does,
Yeah, and you can't
time
really
isn't
build
on
him
his
up.
size. Like, so I think
Yeah,
now you probably match him with like someone he's going to KO, Andre Arlovsky, get him in there with him,
yeah,
flatline him probably. And then you
he's a
look to
big boy.
go, then you look to go, right, Tybura, Tai
Yeah,
Vasa. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
need to kind of
100%.
do stuff like that for him. I think if you put him in there with like a grappler, can't really think of many big
Yeah, you
grapplers in the
you
heavyweight
do not
division.
you avoid ever making a Gelton Almeida fight for him.
Yeah, fuck Almeida. Get him out of the UFC. Curtis Blades exposed that guy, and I'm so glad. I'm so
Oh
glad. I
my
called it
days.
TKO by Blades. It happened. Get him out of the UFC. Give Curtis Blades more of a share in the UFC than Dana White for saving the heavyweight division.
Oh man. Oh man. Anyway, what we were going to talk about before, Ngannou Joshua.
Yeah.
Um, guys, he's not joking, by the way. So if you want to feel free to jump on the Don in the comments, you may well do that. He welcomes it. Look at him. He's trying not to smirk. Listen, Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. I mean, it when how I didn't expect it to go, but I did think Anthony Joshua was going to batter him. Without the surprise factor of the of not knowing what he was going to look like, and also Anthony Joshua's serious power in his hands. And I think the fact that he keeps it a little bit more fundamental than Tyson Fury,
Mm.
and he hits way harder. Looking back at the fight, it seemed like it was obviously going to happen, but it just felt so weird seeing Francis get folded like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to start off by saying I did pick Anthony Joshua to win by decision. I know I have a YouTube video up saying why Ngannou will win by KO, but if you actually watch it, I do tell you that I think AJ would have beat him by decision. I really thought Anthony Joshua would have came into this fight a bit like timid of the power of Ngannou, but
Yeah,
that just wasn't the case.
yeah,
Ngannou got absolutely flatlined, like
yeah. I mean,
bad, and I never expected that at all. Once he got dropped in the first round, then I kind of realized like this actually isn't a close fight at all.
no, it went how it should have.
Yeah, like how it should
It
have went
really
the
did go
first
how it
time.
should have. And it went how you'd think. It's a different fight in MMA, but it went how you'd think Francis would do AJ in MMA. Just
Yeah,
one sided, pulls the trigger when he wants to, and then just dumps AJ on his head, but this time it's in boxing. And Francis was just telegraphing the left hook constantly. AJ was just jabbing to the body. And the level in experience between an Olympic gold medalist boxer with a real amateur background, with the likes of Vladimir Klitschko, Andy Ruiz, so many elite boxers under his belt. I thought AJ, and I still believe AJ is quite chinny. I thought Ngannou might be able to wobble AJ just momentarily in the fight.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I thought Ngannou's chin would hold up until the later rounds, but I did think it'd be one-sided. But I mean, people were talking about all the way through the build-up Ngannou's power, but Anthony Joshua hits seriously hard, and I think Ngannou just never ever moving his head, relying on his parries and his blocks and his counters was just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing, I don't know if I did speak about this on YouTube or TikTok, but I had said I thought the confidence for Ngannou would have helped him in this matchup um, against Anthony Joshua. But really, I think that was a hindrance, similar to his confidence against Stipe the first time. He seemed overconfident. He just, it was kind
Well,
of
I
like what
mean,
happened with Stipe the first time. He seemed overconfident, and now he's got flatline KO'd. Really, I've no interest in seeing him back in boxing, if I'm being honest. Um,
well, when he got knocked down that first time, I mean, there's a still image of it. You can see it in his eyes that he's like, "Oh shit," you know. I don't think it almost. I always feel like Francis was one of those people you knew it was possible to knock him out, but you didn't think it was. You know,
yeah, he had
Francis
like a granite
Ngannou just
chin,
isn't a
like
guy that gets knocked out. He isn't a guy that gets stunned. He just isn't. But he did get knocked out. And I wanted to ask you very quickly. There was a take Demetrius Johnson had about Anthony Joshua versus
yeah,
Ngannou
no,
in MMA. Now, disclaimer: Demetrius Johnson obviously knows more and probably sees things on a different level
than
than me
us.
and Don
Yeah,
Dada, and he's had some mad predictions before. And like when he said Ngannou would beat Tyson Fury, and he literally arguably could have, and everyone was saying, "What are you talking about?" And then when he did, everyone was like, "Oh shit, it's DJ." Of course he knew, you know.
yeah.
But Anthony Joshua beating Ngannou in MMA.
I mean, what have I got? I can't really. We've got 2 minutes left. No, just quickly, no, absolutely not. I mean, you heard Anthony Joshua say he'd fancy his chances against him. He wasn't as strong as what he predicted. But I mean, when you start adding in leg kicks and grappling and stuff like that, plus, they're in 4 ounce gloves, which, yes, that might seem to be a benefit Anthony Joshua. But I feel like in MMA, the stance are different. It's an octagon, not a ring. Like I said, there's far more attributes that come into it. Like, let's be honest, Ngannou's going to walk across that cage, fucking shoot a
Yeah.
single or a double, and just dump Anthony Joshua on his head and smash
I
his
mean,
face in.
just quickly before we finish, DJ said like, Ngannou won't wrestle him, and that's just not how Ngannou fights, and he doesn't really use leg kicks. But I feel like that was a bit of a fault in DJ's research because
Did
I
he
mean
not watch the Gan fight?
Against Gan with no knees, he ragdolled Gan, and Gan would ragdoll Anthony Joshua. So
Yeah,
it's for me. Just before we finish, love Demetrius Johnson. He probably sees things at a different level to anyone on the planet, but I
yeah,
feel like he's overdoing it there. Anthony Joshua would get smoked by Ngannou
yeah.
in
I feel like
MMA.
it's just one of those takes though that everybody has them where it gets attention, so you say it. Maybe he doesn't
Yeah,
really believe
probably.
it. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But
If
anyway,
we
that's
get
going to do
attention
us.
for it,
Yeah,
if we
you were
get
going to say
attention
it.
for it, then of course AJ beats Ngannou. Of course he does.
Yeah, yeah, well, easy. He actually subs him in the first round by pulling guillotine. But yeah, that's going to do us for this week's episode. Hopefully, we can get another one in soon. I'm not going to promise another date. But yeah, thanks very much. We'll see you again in the next one.